Hey there, Shrine Runners! Hello, and welcome to the Fox Shrine. I'm Araxis, your host, and tonight we're going to be playing some more of the Great Ace Attorney. Hey there, Kuro! Hey, Kuro! Hey, Ada! Welcome, welcome. Hope you're doing okay. Very sorry for the delay. For some reason, even when you put your stream back an hour from what you normally do, sometimes circumstances come together to delay it even more than... I don't know. We'll just ignore that. We're here now. We're here now. Let's get into it, shall we? Let's just get straight into the game instead of worry about all of this sort of stuff, shall we? Okay. Now, let me get my controller out and let's get going, shall we? Okay. I think we're at another summation examination. Yeah, that's right. Okay, let's get straight into it. Oh, once a rogue, always a rogue, I say. Oh, different breed to us, law-abiding citizens. As only 2 bullets were found at the scene, I would say the whole case is done and dusted. Oh, you don't need a stereoscope to see the truth here. Oh, every which way you look at it, it was that pickpocket. I never imagined that simple operation caused me such grief. The accused attempted a theft on the previous day. I can see I'm in for a busy day ahead. I am ballistics expert. I have seen many shootings. There is nothing I do not know about guns. For I am expert revolutionary, here to overthrow England in favor of glorious communist revolution. And see you later, senpai. It would seem that there is little remaining room for doubt. I have to admit I was rather bowled over by the argument put forward by the chap in black. But when that fell apart like a house of cards, I saw that I'd jolly well been hoodwinked. Damn it, Ryunosuke, you should have presented the blood. Present the blood. Well, no more. The whole courtroom is turning against me. It's not fair. Iris? That prosecutor's being mean. Just because Skinny's done some things that she shouldn't have done in the past, that doesn't make her a murderer. Hey Drago, how are you going? Hope you're feeling alright. Allow me to savor this fruity vintage while I savor the spectacle of your fruitless debate on the matter. Here's to the truth coming out. Eventually. To your career in the circus. Yeah. Well, that's gonna be another couple of weeks. But more important is whether you feel well. And I do hope that you're feeling okay. And if you're ever feeling lonely, feel free to send me a message or anything. I'm always available to chat, okay? Oh, that's enough preamble. Counsel, proceed with the summation examination. Yes, my lord. Okay, 18th, so not quite 2 weeks. Yeah, he is hoping that you can enjoy the free food. I know when I was doing jury duty, I greatly enjoyed the free food. Like, a lot of the other jurors weren't... Like, they eventually sort of, like, started getting bored and antsy and all that. I was like, no, I'm just going to keep on eating this. You want the rest of that? I'll have it. The free food was genuinely good. I don't see why they were complaining. There was only one time that the food wasn't good, and that was just because of personal preferences. Like that was the meal that the other jurors liked, and I didn't. I don't know what's sort of going on there. We ended up having that one more time, but I was able to get a different meal, and yeah. But yeah, they were treated quite well for jury duty. All right. Let's have a talk with these chaps. Hey, we've still got Tweedledee and Tweedledum at the back there. Right, and we've still got the mistake that we had earlier. I don't recall what that was about. Whatever. We've got this. All right, so let's just interrogate each person first, and we'll see how things go. Just because Miss Lestrade has a history of pickpocketing, she must be guilty of murder. Is that what you're saying? Well... Are all members of the British Army so quick to judge? I beg your pardon? Are you mocking Her Majesty's Armed Forces? The greatest military organization in the world? No. I'm simply illustrating my point. Making assumptions about people because they're a soldier or a pickpocket is wrong and dangerous. Well, yes, might have a point there, I suppose. Well, let's not forget the girl has already shown she had it in her from before. She's clearly a criminal sort through and through. Can't deny it. When you say that she'd shown she had it in her, are you referring to this? Exactly. Tried to swipe that only a day earlier. Or am I mistaken? Got the rapid test done, then the proper PCR test, sent it on Saturday, and already home isolating. Alright, I see. Not exactly. Given that I was actually there at the time, it's hard to refute that. I haven't ever actually had to do a COVID test myself. I consider myself lucky in that respect. I managed to sort of avoid any sort of areas that became hotspots. There were a few sort of dicey times, admittedly. Like I remember I was sort of working in an area, and like all of us at the time were sort of like watching the news, and we sort of like, oh shit, the local pub has been reported as a hotspot. Oh crap! I hope none of the people who've been there have come in here. Yeah, but a lot of people don't like that, and I don't really want like people sticking swabs up my nose. But depends on how far it goes, I guess. If it has to go like all the way into the sinuses, that sounds bad, or at least annoying. I've had other sort of medical exams done, so I'm sure I'd be able to sort of handle it. It's probably just uncomfortable. Though admittedly, like I do have issues sort of like holding my breath underwater. Like I don't like the water going in my nose, so I always have to hold my nose whenever I sort of go underwater, or have like a mask on. I'm a little bit sort of sensitive to that, I guess. Yeah, whatever. I've never actually seen the real thing. I can't wait to have a closer look at it. Oh, yes, of course. The real thing what? Right, the disc. Right, hinting that she wants to look at the bloodstains, because we've already looked at that, though. Mr. Sholmes did use his Carol bars to make a copy of the disc, didn't he? And then ordered every type of music box he could find from across Europe. We still don't know what tune it plays, though, do we? But I'd love to see how the original compares to Hurley's copy. Gilded's disc. Could it be a clue somehow? Perhaps we should examine it in more detail. We did. We absolutely did examine it in more detail. Okay, only 2 bullets at the scene. It's the number of bullets that has you convinced. Only 2 bullets were fired, and the 2 guns that fired them have been examined by the police. When the parlor maid asks me how many are invited for dinner, I always tell her to count the table settings. Well, that's logical, I suppose. Although, yes? Sometimes after dining, crockery does go missing. 1 or 2 guests rather like to find china. Does your employer dine with thieves? So I suppose if there was another bullet somewhere of which we were unaware, I'd have to reconsider my position. Right. And the fact that we've got the bloodstains to show that it was a different person who was shot means that it's likely that Sholmes was the one. Sholmes walked out with the bullet in him. A 3rd bullet somewhere on the scene. Could that be possible? Hold off for now. Because the Bolshevik guy said that he knows weapons, so maybe he's able to prove that came from a different type of gun. Unfortunately, only 2 bullets were discovered by the police during their investigation. Yes, I know. Right. And I don't imagine the good man of Scotland Yard would have overlooked anything. If I missed a bullet while I was cleaning his lordship's office, well, I should receive a sound scolding, I don't doubt. And he should receive a visit from the police, perhaps. Sounds like a crime scene to me. A 3rd bullet. It would completely turn things around if there was one, wouldn't it? Do you think we might find one lying around somewhere? In Sholmes. Okay. This guy's being awfully prejudiced. So if I've understood you correctly, you need 2 pictures, a left eye one and a slightly different right eye one. Exactly. Then you can see the scene in 3 dimensions, like this. So, if we have 2 bullets, I don't suppose you can see anything useful with them? I think you'll find that no matter how much you squint, the truth of the situation always looks the same here. The only person who could have shot the victim is that girl in the dock. How could you be so sure of that? Well, think about it. The Skulkin brothers shot the great detective, didn't they? Yes, that's been mentioned once or twice. Well then, surely it's coming into focus now, isn't it? This is a waste of time. Not going to change this man's mind anytime soon. Alright, I got the senile surgeon. Would you please stop muttering about things that have nothing to do with this trial, sir? Oh dear, this surgeon was the guy who was operating on Sholmes, wasn't he? The defendant's life is on the line here. Well, the thing is, I couldn't really say that it is nothing to do with this trial, to be honest. Huh? I mean, there's no question that the man was shot, but the bullet had simply vanished from his stomach. What's quite inexplicable, don't you think? I almost don't want to ask, but this surgery you've been muttering about all this time, you were operating on... What was the fellow's name now? Hair lick? No, hair lock? No, hairlock? Hairlock Sholmes, by any chance? Yes! Oh, good lord. I was that hairlock fellow. What? You're the surgeon that operated on Mr. Sholmes? That's right. Using the very latest anesthesia techniques, I might add. It was a fairly major op, I can tell you. This is crazy. Let me see. The fella was brought in not long after midnight, if I remember correctly. They said he'd been shot by some criminal or other, so I opened him up like a shot. But the funny thing is, I went over his insides with a fine-tooth comb and couldn't find the bullet anywhere. I'm afraid I had to throw up my hands and just stitch the fellow back up. I hate to state the obvious, but... yes? Surely that's because the bullet is still at the scene of the shooting? The counsel for the defense is correct. As is clearly shown in this photographic print, which we've already proved, at least to ourselves, that isn't the same bullet. The bullet that the Skulkin brothers fired at Mr. Sholmes hit him in the stomach region, then exited his body and lodged into the shop wall where the calendar was hanging by the door. A stomach shot, huh? That certainly landed quite high. I think you'll find it's really quite simple if you just consider the problem three-dimensionally. Ha! Who do you think I am, son? Well... Juror number 4 is about the best I can do. As soon as I saw the wound to the man's stomach, I flipped him over. Like a pancake? Are you saying you checked his back? Of course I did. And there wasn't a trace of injury. No sign that the bullet had left the body at all. What? That's the point! The only logical conclusion was that the bullet was still somewhere in the man's innards. Which is exactly why I set about slicing him up. And I'm still none the wiser even now. How many times do I have to say it? Can somebody please explain how it happened? Can somebody please solve the mystery? It's almost as much of a mystery as to how this jury was put together. Mystery of where that bullet ended up is infuriating. Where's an expert when you need one? A few jurors down. Can we revoke his medical license? No. When he says that he is the best in the field, honestly, I believe him. Surgeons at the time were little better than barbers. Look it up. Look up medical science at the turn of the 20th century, or the 19th century, or anything like that. Surgeons were butchers.
Hold it!
Mr. Sholmes' surgeon is on the jury. I have experienced some coincidences recently, but this is ridiculous. I'm as surprised as anyone! But there's no question that Mr. Sholmes was shot. Well, there you go. Well, that's what the police told me when they brought him in. How bad were his injuries, Doctor? He was in a bad way. He lost a huge amount of blood, you know. And I suspect he was shot at quite close range, too. Because his skin was badly burnt around the point of entry. Burnt. As I said, I flipped the fellow over and examined his back, but there was no sign of an exit wound. Which is why I thought I'd better locate the lug and pop it out. And yet you say you found no bullet inside the patient. Well, I wouldn't have done, would I? Because it's in the wall of the pawnbrokers. But how did it get there? I need someone to solve this mystery before it drives me to insanity. If only there were some expert in ballistics who could help, even if he looked extremely untrustworthy and like a communist. So, we have a disappearing bullet on our hands. Alright then. What do you mean you're in for a busy day? Forgot to say, stop. Do excuse me, stop. I am a communications officer, stop. Don't ever stop. A communications officer? Does that have something to do with sending telegrams? Everything from personal messages written by members of the public to the latest news in the capital. I convert all the messages into Morse code and tap it out to the entire world electronically. To the entire world? Thousands of miles of cable under the sea! Stop! Worldwide communication network! Stop! Information transmitted to and from all corners of globe! Stop! Ah, yes, the interbubs. She was, getting equally worked up about radio waves or the like before, wasn't she? I specialize in communicating information from government departments and newspaper offices. I see. I'm sure I shall have to wire the newspaper reports of today's guilty verdict later. So, no sleep for me tonight, I imagine. Let's just finish a trial first, shall we? Alright. I thought you were just a tourist. Good day. I am visiting London for sightseeing. I would like to take bus to Crystal Tower, please. My hovercraft is full of eels. There's no way he's just a visiting tourist. So, you're a ballistics expert. Who knew? I have much experience with guns. I have lived through many, how do you say, extreme, violent bath of, blood of, extreme violent bloodbaths, perhaps? Those extreme violent bloodbaths. English is very difficult tongue. Considering the sort of people you associate with, I'm surprised you still have a tongue. Anyway, if you have questions about bullets and guns, you ask me. There is nothing I do not know. No mystery I cannot solve. Rah, rah, Rasputin, lover of the Russian queen. He's very confident in his knowledge of guns, that's for sure. But if possible, please, only in Russian language. He's not very confident in his knowledge of English, though, is he? Alright, let's have a drink. Alright, you lot, get up and stretch. Blame Kuro for this. You're all stretching now. Okay. And turn and flex and shake and bounce and turn and flex and shake and bounce. Alright. There we go. Alright. And controller. No. Still, we should bear it in mind. He's our man if there's a mystery about guns or bullets. Van Zeeks has managed to convince everyone. When you have eliminated the impossible, he said. But he hasn't! You're going to fight back. You need more material. You have to fight back. I have to turn this trial around again. If this isn't turnabout trials or turnabout courts, whatever it is. Alright. So we'll go over here.
Objection.
Those two statements clearly contradict the idea that all I do is pit jurors against each other. Oh, I'm a ballistics expert. Pitting. P-I-T-T. On the night in question, Mr. Sholmes was shot by one of the Skulkin brothers. But since there was no sign of an exit wound on his back, we must assume the bullet didn't pass through him. However, no bullet was found lodged in Mr. Sholmes' body either. Furthermore, a bullet was found lodged in the wall of the shop where Mr. Sholmes was shot. Juror number 6. Hello, my name is Villain. Pleased to meet you. I am no longer infected. This apparent contradiction in the facts that is so clearly troubling juror number 4. Are you able to explain the mystery? I have seen very similar situation in Motherland. It was night. There was blizzard. I was running away along mountain road in freezing cold. I only had the shoes on feet and bottle of vodka. It was delicious. It helped me stave off cold. Golly. The snow was piling high on both sides of road. It was very narrow and dangerous. My pursuers had hunting rifles and they were on dog sleds. Mental note, don't ask too many questions. I was shot from behind and I fell down in snow. And this situation was very similar to what I hear today from doctor. They could not find bullet in my body. And no sign of, how do you say, exit wound. Then where did the bullet go? Bullet never hit me. Oh, well, if it never hit you, then why did you fall down? Bullet hit frozen wall of ice very close to my side. What? A small piece, very sharp, broke away from lump of ice and pierced my body. It made deep wound that looked just like bullet wound. Good gracious! Of course, piece of ice quickly melted inside me, and that is solution to mystery of disappearing bullet. But that doesn't answer the question at all. The shooting happened in a pawnbroker shop, not some snowy mountain road in another country. Just an idea, but we might not be looking at exactly the same scenario here. Bruno, where exactly was Hurley shot again? Well, according to the report, in his stomach. Sort of around this area, I think. Well, that's precisely where he always wears a little pouch on his belt. A pouch? Actually, I might have noticed something like that. Get back where you're supposed to go. Go back over there. Don't fall down. Stay. Stay. Yes, a pouch. It's where he keeps 3 glass vials of very dangerous chemicals that he uses in his investigations. What? Really? A doctor! Where is the pouch that Mr. Chalmers was wearing? Oh, well, fellow had nothing like that on his person when he arrived at the hospital, as far as I remember. If I may. Lord Van Zeeks? While I realize it is forbidden for the prosecution to interject during a summation examination, I should inform the defense that I have the pouch in question in the antechamber outside the courtroom. Sorry? As I understand it, when the police arrived on the scene and found Mr. Sholmes injured, they removed the pouch in order to assess the wound. Thank goodness, I thought I was getting forgetful for a moment. Since then, it has been in my safekeeping, along with all the other evidence relating to the case. Shouldn't you present all of that? What happened to Discovery, man? What happened to Discovery? I can personally vouch for the fact that it has not been touched since the incident occurred. Oh, very well. While extremely unconventional during a summation examination, I must demand the prosecution presents the item in question with all speed. Bring forth Mr. Herlock Sholmes's pouch. But it is... if this had happened, like, at the start, then, like, yes. Like, just because you are opposing lawyers and all that, even if it might help the opposition, it is your duty to present evidence that will help them. Because it is important to discovering the truth, and it is important for the trial. I see. So this is the pouch worn by Mr. Sholmes on the night in question, is it? Look at that. One of the files is broken and the leather around it is scorched black. It's almost as if the file exploded. Exploded? So, that night, the bullet from the Skulkin Brothers gun struck Mr. Sholmes' pouch, and it was the glass file exploding that caused the fellow's injury. This bullet did not penetrate victim, but was deflected into wall of shop. A delightfully complex aroma. Well, it would appear one mystery has been solved at least. Though it has no bearing on the truth of this case. The bungling and burgling brothers shot the detective, and the accused shot the pawnbroker. The pertinent facts of the case remain unaltered. But at least the mystery is solved. Oh, I can sleep easy tonight. Oh, thank you, young man. Duh. Thank you very much. Glad I could help. Due to its bearing on the conundrum just solved, the court will sequester this scruffy pouch as evidence. Hurley's pouch isn't scruffy. Sholmes' scruffy pouch has been entered into the court record. Alright, he was wearing around his waist at the time of the shooting. One of the glass vials is smashed, and there are scorch marks around it. Now, the summation examination. Oh, let's have a look at this. This vial has been smashed to pieces. Presumably, this is where the bullet struck. As soon as the bullet hit the chemical in that vial, there would have been a really big explosion. A big explosion? Well, Hurley's potions and chemicals are amazingly useful for the investigation work he does. I'm surprised the other vials are alright, though. But they're also quite tricky to handle. Safely, at least. They're very dangerous. Oh. I'm sure that when this vial broke, chemical inside would have ignited. Note to self, always walk on the right-hand side of Sholmes in future. The left is the danger zone. Highway to the danger zone. These glass vials are full of Hurley's homemade potions. Homemade? Yes, like fingerprint powder to show up where people have touched things, and scent amplifying solution to intensify a smell lingering on an object. That's amazing. And they're all very easy to use. There's just one thing that you have to be careful of. They're all very flammable. Mr. Sholmes is a walking bomb. Either he's passionate about finding out the truth, or just oblivious to the dangers. And is that the bullet? It's really scorched badly just here. Oh, the strap is broken, look! This must be where the bullet hit them. Let me see. Oh, what the? Iris, look! Behind where the broken vial was, do you see it? Ah, that's the Skulkin Brothers bullet! What a stroke of luck that it hit his pouch! This is an amazing discovery. What this means is, there were 3 bullets fired at Windy Banks that night. We found exactly what that juror was talking about. The 3rd bullet! It's time to press that juror again, I think. Okay, it caused one of the files to explode, injuring Sholmes. Excellent. This is where the 3rd bullet was lodged. Imagine what would have happened if it had pierced the leather. Thank goodness Mr. Sholmes is going to be alright. Oh look! There's a hole here at the back! Doesn't look like much of a bullet hole, but clearly something's ripped through the leather with great force. Something must have pierced it somehow that left this hole behind. Yes, it looks that way. Mr. Sholmes and his pouch both took a beating, didn't they? Okay. I think we found what we need here. This is the bullet that was fired from the Skulkin Brothers' gun on the night of the incident. Yes. So it turns out it never actually entered Hurley's body at all. Thanks to the thick leather of that pouch he was wearing. It saved him. Hurley's always lucky like that. Well, considering what he had to go through in hospital. I wonder how lucky he really was. Oh dear, poor Hurley. Yeah, we did kind of get cut up by that surgeon a fair bit. It would appear the defense is somewhat struggling to alter opinion, Please, my lord, a little more time. After all, that's a new piece of evidence. Could be a valuable clue. You can't afford to overlook anything here, Ryunosuke. Still a way to turn this around. Somehow. I'm sure of it. Okay. What have you got to say here now? And I ask you to reconsider your leanings, sir. Oh, no, that's another matter entirely. Sorry? All I can think about for the moment is this wonderful sense of relief I have that the mystery is solved. Didn't you leave your scalpel in him, by the way? I need some time to let that sink in before I could possibly consider anything else. Alright. I thought surgeons had to be able to think quickly. Perhaps we should leave him alone for now while he savors his inner peace. And focus on some of the other jurors? I suppose we'll have to. Wish I had the chance to experience inner peace sometimes. Okay. So, let us... Oh wait, no, we have to press her and then present it there. That's right. Okay. I can prove it. Allow me to show you then the third bullet.
Take that!
Here it is. We discovered it just now. Yes! On the night in question, in Windybank's pawnbrokery, another bullet was fired. What is this new trickery, you Nipponese conjurer? Where did you find that bullet? It was lodged inside Mr. Sholmes' pouch. What? This pouch was removed from around Mr. Sholmes' waist before he was taken to hospital. And since then, it has been touched by no one. Do you mean to say the shot fired by the Skulkin brothers that night? Yes, as your lordship has surmised, it hit this pouch. But that makes no sense whatsoever. We already know the whereabouts of the bullet fired at Mr. Sholmes. It's clearly visible in that photographic print. Ah! 2 guns from the scene have already been submitted into the court record as evidence. 3 bullets. 1, 2, 5. 3, sir. 3. Yes, that of Mr. Windybank and that belonging to the Skulkin brothers. And examination of both guns revealed that only a single bullet had been fired from each. But that must mean... That's right. We now know that on the night in question, 3 bullets were fired. However, only 2 bullets were fired from the guns recovered from the crime scene. And until that incontrovertible inconsistency is somehow explained, we cannot and must not pass judgment. Blair! Order! 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 While this summation examination remains incomplete, the court has been presented with new facts. Facts that would appear to shake the very foundations upon which the case against the defendant has been built. As is my prerogative in this situation, I hereby temporarily suspend the summation examination. By Jupiter! What? Bailiff, bring the witnesses back to the stand at once. Witnesses? Oh, Governor? Were you listening to the proceedings while the defense carried out the summation examination? Oh, we was, Governor. Oh, we was. Perhaps he can dispense with tedious preamble. Simply answer this one question. One question. A third bullet has been identified at the scene of the crime. What do you make of that? I'll make of it, Gov. I don't make nothing of it. I don't make nothing of nothing if I can help it. Is it one of yours? Oh, God blimey, Gov, God blimey. Not a chance. In that case, did you have an accomplice? What? What? Oh, hold on. What? What? Oh, never. Skulkin brothers work alone. Oh, it's just the two of us. That's our trademark. How soon we forget poor Sulky. Only 2 of the bullets from the crime scene originated from the firearms we have in evidence. The third bullet was fired from another gun. Where is it? Oh, Lummy. Oh, that's an head scratcher. Counsel for the defense. Yes? I should like to hear your thoughts regarding these new developments. The third bullet and the mysterious missing firearm from whence it came. Thinking back over all the testimony we've heard and all the evidence we've seen, I think I'm starting to form a picture. A picture of what really happened that night. My lord, I think it's clear what this third bullet tells us about the Skulkin brothers. They had a secret accomplice. Because I did say earlier that they were working with someone, right? And not to sort of say his name. On that night at Windybank's pawnbrokery, the brothers must have been working with a third man. The witnesses are clearly doing their best to cover up the existence of this accomplice. But the evidence all points to the fact that there was someone else present. Someone carrying a gun.
Objection!
An accomplice, you say? Peakswill. These protracted proceedings have already forced us to endure two summation examinations. Yet in all that time, there has been not a murmur of a third man. If this apparent wraith-like being exists, the court must be shown hard evidence. Without it, this fantasy will be crushed. The prosecution demands answers on 2 counts. Firstly, proof, evidence that this accomplice was ever at the scene of the crime. And secondly, the identity of this spurious character. The Skulkins are lying, I know that. But how can I ascertain the identity of the person they're hiding? Well, counsel? I'm supposed to prove the existence of this accomplice and reveal the person's identity even. In response to the prosecution's demands, my lord, the defense is ready to present answers. The defense is ready. I believe I can provide all the answers the prosecution demands. So, my Nipponese friend, despite the swimming eyes, you seem to think you have something to say. This promises to be interesting. Have to push forward now. There's no other option. I need to use every single piece of evidence available to me, if it will make a difference. In that case, counsel, I would ask you to present the evidence without delay. On the night in question, in the moments leading up to the death of the victim, what proof have you that there was a third intruder present at the scene? It would be the blood sample. I would have to say. So let's where is it? There.
Take that!
The evidence is right here in this portfolio. By Jove, that portfolio again, is it? Do you expect the court to rifle through the papers itself? Be more specific. You claim one of those blood samples proves the presence of this third intruder. Well, which one is it?
Take that!
This is the blood sample that proves it. You perplex me, counsel, by looking so pleased with yourself despite this quite displeasing answer. Does that not work? Would do well to take your irrelevant specimens of blood and go back to whence you came. And I'll see to it that you go down in this court's history as an equally irrelevant specimen. God damn it. Game, you know what I was getting at. Well, I think it takes a certain genius to give such a completely wrong answer, personally. Kind of genius I could really do without. Time to think again. Fine, I guess it's this one. Like, I wanted to sort of present both of them at the same time. Like, and I thought, like, they would be like, what? What has this music box disc got to do with it? Well, it matches this one over here.
Take that!
What am I looking at here? There appears to be some green paint or such like around the bullet hole in the middle of the calendar. That's a bloodstain, my lord. A bloodstain? Green blood? Curious, even for you. And as a vampire, I have seen all sorts of blood, but never green. Is the court to understand that the intruder was some unhuman creature? It's something developed by Mr. Herlock Sholmes. Oh, by the great detective! New invention! Stop! Not yet appeared in stories. Stop! It's this, you see. It doesn't have a name yet, though. This fogger sprays a chemical that reacts with the different elements in people's blood to change its color. Different elements of people's blood? Yes, everyone's blood is slightly different, you see, because it's made up of different elements. So, by seeing what color it changes to, you can tell in a flash whose blood it is. Oh, that brings a whole extra dimension to looking at blood. Talk of blood in courtroom. Stop! Very exciting. Stop! As an example, this one shows the blood of the victim, Mr. Windybank. A striking blue. Yes, so you see, the green color of this bloodstain on the calendar shows that somebody else was shot in the main part of the shop. Now, hold fire there, young man. Could be from some unrelated incident, couldn't it? No, it's not unrelated. The date showing on the calendar is the date on which Mr. Windybank was killed. By golly! Therefore, we can assume that whoever was shot on the same day. And whose blood is it? Well, the Skulkin brothers in the stand don't appear to be suffering from any gunshot injuries, which means it must be the blood of somebody else. The third intruder, in fact.
Objection!
Whose identity the court is still waiting to hear. You can't delay this any longer, my learned friend. Who is this alleged third intruder? Eggs Benedict. The man's name is Eggert Benedict. Eggert Benedict? Who on earth are you talking about, Counsel? He paid a visit to Windybank's pawnbrokery on the afternoon before the incident took place, when the accused attempted to deceive the pawnbroker into releasing the article into her possession. That's right. A man identified by the defense, Mr. Eggert Benedict, then attempted to take the article from the defendant by force. Broker! Yes, sir. I believe this filthy pocket thief has just redeemed an article from you, no? Yes, the article in question belongs to me. I demand for it to be returned at once. Now that's a lie. What are you trying to pull? Give me back my overcoat, you wastrel, and needless to say, I am fabulous. Oh, and any music box discs too. Inspector Gregson was there at the time and can attest to what happened. In the end, it was the inspector himself who took the disc. Can you corroborate this account, Inspector? Yes, my lord. That's more or less what happened. And in the interests of being thorough, I asked Windybank for a print showing the fellow. Taken from one of his red-handed reporter gubbinses. Yes, that's him talking to Mr. Windybank that morning. What a coincidence. And you claim this man is the brother's accomplice? Well, Mr. and Mr. Skulkin? Never seen the geezer before in my life. On my life, Gov, on my life. Never seen him. Well, somewhat unsurprisingly, it appears our witnesses disagree with the assertion. I'm sure your lordship recalls my learned Nipponese friend's actual assertion, which was that he could prove the identity of the alleged accomplice. Yes, and I can. And show us the evidence. I agree. We must see proof that the clean-cut gentleman in the photograph is the filthy criminal you say he is. This is the last piece of evidence. I had a feeling that something had been missing in this trial from the very start. But now, I'm going to drag it kicking and screaming into the courtroom. Are you ready? Present your answer to the court then, counsel. Yes, my lord. The defense will present the evidence now. Proof that the man pictured in this photographic print was in fact the person struck by the third bullet. Now, I'm hoping that the game understands what I am getting at here, And now it wants the corroborating blood sample. And not this one here. Alright, so let's go here. That proof is right here in this portfolio. Good gracious, Council! Does that portfolio contain answers to every question posed? I see you share my interest in claret-colored liquids, my Nipponese friend. But... you like red liquid, do you, vampire? Enough. The court demands to see further evidence. Which blood sample proves the man you identified was the one who shot by the third bullet at the scene of the crime?
Take that!
As I mentioned before, on the afternoon of the day in question, the defendant attempted, deceitfully admittedly, to reclaim this disc from Windybanks. Which is when the aforementioned Eggert Benedict appeared on the scene, I believe. This man then attempted to purloin the article from the defendant's possession, no? That's correct, my lord. I myself was present at the time. It was following this that a minor incident occurred. He drew a gun on us. But of course, sir, here is the disc for you. Very well. Then I shall bid you farewell. Say goodbye to style. As I moonwalk out of here. Wait a minute, that disc is mine. What do you think you're doing, you little tramp? You've drawn blood, you filthy animal. Being a music box disc, it has countless small but sharp metal protrusions over its surface. Those protrusions caused Mr. Benedict's finger to bleed, and the resulting smear of blood is still visible on the disc now. Goodness, a bloodstain, is it? My assistant and I have just analyzed the bloodstain here in this very courtroom, using my trusty fogger gun. Yes, and we added the results to this portfolio. I say! It's green. Well, it's exactly the same color as the blood around the calendar. The evidence is conclusive. The man calling himself Mr. Eggert Benedict, who was in Windybanks earlier in the day, is the accomplice who was present at the scene of the crime that same night. There was someone else there. Oh, look at those two brothers now, they're sweating buckets. Oi! Who are you talking about? It's boiling in here. Oh, sorry, that was one of the brothers. My lord, it is the opinion of the defense that Mr. Eggert Benedict should be summoned to the courtroom to testify. It would certainly seem that we can ill afford to ignore this gentleman's apparent presence. Also, he should have a warrant out for his arrest, considering he drew a gun on a person in the pawn shop.
Objection!
This has gone on long enough now. This flagrant ignorance of the mechanics of law. Oh? Hairlock Sholmes, say. Yes, I've heard the name. The protagonist in a series of short stories for the vulgar classes. A god of detection or some such. And now you employ chemical substances devised by this farcical persona in the highest court in the land? Do you expect us to take you seriously. The samples made by this plaything are not fit to be called evidence. So the bloodstain turned a shade of green. What of it? Here's to you successfully proving that no other blood in the world would turn the same color. To be fair, he's got a point. This is unproven technology. Well. And pray, do not even think of suggesting that we should take Mr. Sholmes' word for it. Have a look at my boot. Smell it! Is he right? Mr. Sholmes' concoction a load of rubbish? I don't know, I mean, he is a great detective. What are you talking about? We can't let him talk like that. I knew it would come to this. Of course, Mr. Sholmes' invention isn't going to be recognized by any official body. But what other choice did I have? I'm just remembering what Father Christmas over there said before. Aha! Iris is on the same page as me. The judge is Santa Claus. About how he was temporarily suspending the summation examination. In other words, the examination isn't over yet, is it? Good grief! Oh, what did you just say, young girl? And in a summation examination, the decision as to whether or not the trial continues is in the hands of the 6 jurors, isn't it? So the way I see it, it doesn't matter what certain other people think of Hurley's invention. At least, not for now. Yes, she's right! Oh, young lady, you have quite the devious mind. It really just comes down to one thing. Whether these ladies and gentlemen of the jury are convinced by what you say, Bruno. Is that about right, would you say? Or did I misunderstand something? Unbelievable. Mr. Sholmes' partner is a force to be reckoned with. Iris Wilson, sharpshooter. After that shrewd precis of the situation from an entirely unexpected source, it must be acknowledged that the previous summation examination has yet to reach its conclusion. This is absurd. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the court now looks to you for your final leanings in this matter. As proud citizens of Her Majesty's Britain, I'm sure you will come to fair and just conclusions. So then, state your final decisions in turn, please.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty. Guilty.
Guilty.
Not guilty.
Two call guilty and 4 call not guilty. Such is the outcome of the summation examination.
Objection!
My lord, with all due respect, this is an outrage. The prosecution refuses to accept this decision. On what grounds? If these jurors are persuaded by some half-baked concoction devised by a pretender to real police work, then they are too ignorant to be trusted with the judgment of anyone's guilt. I'm sorry, Lord Van Zieks, but the outcome of the summation examination cannot be ignored. But this trial will continue. Oh. Ah. Yeah, he's an angry vampire indeed. He does not hold back. He just You know, I've decided. I don't necessarily think he's racist. I just think that he's a misanthrope and hates everyone. Nonetheless, we find ourselves in a rather awkward situation. Someone needs a boot to the head. I can think of a few people who need a boot to the head. Well, I mean, let's be fair here. He is an immortal vampire who is apparently able to walk around during the day. So he's probably lived for thousands of years, seen many things in that time. He's probably earned, like, some superiority complex, I guess. He just happens to be wrong here, alright? He's wrong here. The defense has very reasonably requested the subpoena of a new witness. I know that's your headcanon, stop. I mean, look at him. How can he be any less of a vampire? But sadly, I fear that will be impossible. What? He's got that angst, bitter of you being right. He certainly seems like a vampire to me. The name that gentleman gave for himself, Eggert Benedict, is quite clearly false. Really? You don't say? Eggert Benedict a false name? Who would have thought? Ah, geez. Next you're going to be telling us that Ringo Skulkin isn't his real name. Or Male Strongheart isn't his real name. I mean, come on. I don't believe it. Just when I've managed to prove the man was there that night. Could I say something? Who was that, please? Who spoke? It was me, my lord. Juror number 5. The one involved in political affairs. What have you to say, madame? If possible, Inspector. Me, ma'am. I wonder if you might show the photographic print to me again. The one in which the gentleman is shown. Right, yes, this one, you mean? Of, Mr. Benedict? Yes! There's no doubt in my mind. Juror number 5, you don't mean to say you know this man? Yes, I know him. What? No. Good gracious! Dr. Strange was there. Order! 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 Juror number 5. How on earth? I am a communications officer. Stop! As we can clearly see. Also, hey Lab Rat, hope you're doing alright. Hope you're doing alright as well, Denegorius. The gentleman in the photograph is... Stop! Also, a communications officer. Stop! He works in my office. Stop! A very talented operator, in fact. Stop! He should be in the communication station now. Stop! Tapping away on the telegraph. Stop! Glad to hear it. This doesn't seem right somehow. Can't put my finger on why, but it doesn't feel right. I suppose we all imagine the accomplice would be some sort of hardened criminal. It's a bit unexpected to find out that he has a respectable job by day, whatever he gets up to at night. See? That's why you can't judge people by appearances. Plenty of the worst criminals wear a suit, alright? And people need to understand this. Yes, I suppose that's it. I suppose that's why I felt something was wrong. If the gentleman is at London's communication station, we should be able to subpoena him within the hour. Lord Van Zieks, if you please. Yes, my lord. Make the necessary arrangements with all haste. Oh. We might be done by Christmas, as your lordship bids. The court will now recess for 1 hour. When the new witness arrives, we shall reconvene to hear the gentleman's testimony. Inspector Gregson? Yes, my lord? I should like to hear from you specifically about events at the pawnbrokery on the day in question. Come to my chambers during the recess. Yes, sir, my lord. Very well. Court is adjourned until 1:40 p.m. We need the 3 C's. AC, art, cloth. Oh, let's save our progress and chloroform. Santa does bring gifts to good kids, demands subpoenas from bad ones. Yeah, this is environmentally friendly Santa. He's dispensed with giving out coal. He now gives out subpoenas to arrest people for using coal. Alright, let's continue. I'll probably go later than normal since we started an hour late, by the way. Okay, 17th of April, 12:41 p.m. The Old Bailey, Defendant's Antechamber. Ah, Gina. How are you holding up? I'm, starting to feel quite warmly towards her frequent cold shoulders now. I think I've got a thing for tsunderes. Oh, Ginny! Are you alright? Oh, why aren't you saying anything? Oh, what's the point, eh? Oh, why go to all this trouble and fight so hard for the likes of me? What? Well, you saw it. That picture? What picture? You mean this? The photograph taken by Hurley's red-handed recorder? Well, I didn't think it would have captured a scene like this, that's for sure. It's hopeless. Well, anyone who sees that is going to think that I did it, ain't they? Well, I won't pretend it wasn't a bit of a shock when the prosecution first presented it to the court. Sure, you gotta have your doubts about me now. Oh, you can't still think I'm innocent. Of course I can. In fact, I'm even more sure than I was when I started. Ginny, how don't you talk to us? Tell us what really happened that night. Eh? Bruno's cleverly managed to piece together a lot of new information, but still, we'd really like to hear it from you. Alright then. It was after we had that dinner together at your place, right, Iris? And we all had a chat up in your office, didn't we? Yes, I remember. They're phased now, yep, indeed. After that, I just couldn't get to sleep. Oh, finally done? So, I slipped out and went down the street to the 2-to-1. I took to Windybank's place. I had to know if Iris Story was there or not. The Hound of the Baskervilles. Still doing work while in isolation, huh? Well, actually, yeah, that would have been important. I don't know what it's about or nothing, but if you ask me, there's something in it that Sholmes don't like. Something what he don't want people reading. That's why he lied to Iris about sticking it in lug with Windybank for safekeeping. Yeah, exactly. So you do need to sort of like have a record of that sort of stuff. You know what my 14 days would look like? Stayed at home. Stayed at home. Stayed at home. Stayed at home. I imagine they could do like metadata sort of tracing as well. Like assuming that you sort of take your mobile wherever you go, like they'd be able to sort of track where that's been because God knows that's got enough sort of GPS stuff in it to be able to say where you've been. Yeah, but I'll probably have to go back to work next week or something like that. Lockdown's ending for people who are vaccinated. I'm getting my final vaccination on Friday. So on Friday, I'll sort of like send a message into work and let them know that I'm vaccinated and see what's going on. See if I've still got a job, I guess. Who knows, maybe they're still going to go, like, low on staff. I don't know what's going to be up with them. Alright. They certainly haven't sent me a message or anything. I don't know if they have that implemented or anything like that. I just wouldn't be surprised if they do. Because you can do a lot with metadata, at least. And I don't actually have the contact tracing app on my phone because I don't like the way that it accesses Bluetooth. Because basically having Bluetooth active on your phone is a huge sort of security risk, and it eats up your battery, so I didn't sort of install that. And apparently it doesn't even work. At least, that's what I thought at the time. So, you broke into Windybanks. I just had to know if it was there or not. I mean, I had no idea all of that was going to kick off, did I? I struck the lock and snuck inside. Dark as you like in there. So, I gave the oil lamp on the counter a bit of wick. And that's when... Oh, what do you think you're doing, eh? Ah! Oh, I nearly died, I did. Next thing I knew... I'd grabbed the gun off the counter and was waving it in the air like... I don't know what. Yeah, our government's not had a very good track record with any sort of technology app thing. And they're definitely doing a whole lot of overreach in terms of security matters. Like, even now, they're sort of... Like, this is completely sort of unrelated, but they're trying to crack down even harder on what they call illegal immigration. But yeah, they're basically trying to sort of like have it so that courts can't even sort of see the reason why ministers might expel a person from the country or deny their application or deny their status as a refugee or anything like that. It's absolutely ridiculous. Ever since the Tampa incident back in the early 2000s, the governments, both sides of the government, both Liberal and Labour, have seen fit to demonize any sort of refugee, unfortunately. Especially refugees who happen to come over by boat. Because apparently for some reason they're worse than the other ones. Fuck you, Liberals. Fuck you, Labour. And fuck your barbaric methods of incarceration. Like when Donald Trump says, oh hey, you guys are a whole lot worse than me, and like that says something about your system of immigration. And basically all like the right-wing sort of European governments are sort of like taking lessons. You're the girl who was in here this afternoon. Oh, I didn't think pickpockets went in for armed robbery. Eh? The mantle script. Have you got it here? Did Sholmes leave a load of papers with you? A story? I beg your pardon? Oh, the Hound of the... something or other. If it's here, I want to see it. I'm sorry, young lady, but I'd sooner die than relinquish an article belonging to one of my customers. If you'd just put that gun down, I could treat you to some tidbits if you'd like. I don't want it. What would I do with it anyway? I just want to see it's here, that's all. Oh, you want to see it, do you? I want to know if Sholmes really pawned it here or not. Please, just let me see it, and I'll go. Oh, very well then. Oh, but for pity's sake, stop waving my gun around, would you? So, in the old cove unlocked the storeroom door, and we both went inside. And it was there, all right. The mantle script. The Sholmes weren't lying after all. You did all this just to check for me, Guinea? Anyway, then there was a bit of a kick-up out in the main bit of the shop. Skulkin brothers arriving on the scene, yes. Oh, what was that noise? Oh, someone's breaking in. Oh, dear me. There's some burglars convention here tonight that I don't know about. I think I forgot to shut the door behind me. Sorry. I'd better go take care of it. Could I possibly have my gun back? It wouldn't be too polite of me if I didn't go and answer them in kind. Oh well, I'll come with you and... Oh, now, don't be foolish, young girl. Oh, you must stay right here. Don't leave this room under any circumstances. And with that, he took the gun out of my hands and walked back out into the shop. I hung back in the storeroom like he said, straining my ears in the dark to hear what was going on. Sounded like they got into a bit of a scrap. I started to think I should help, see? I was just about to go out the storeroom myself when... I heard a couple of shots go off. 2, I think. Almost at the same time. And then there he was, right at me feet, lying face down on the floor. I was right next to the storeroom door, so I slammed it shut and locked it quick as you like. Because you thought whoever had shot Mr. Windybank might come for you? Yeah. I went to grab the old cove's gun. I figured I'd put up a fight at least. But when I got a better look at him, I knew. Oh, Windybank was a goner. I felt funny in me yet, all of a sudden. I'm a dizzy. And after that, I don't remember nothing. That must be when you passed out, Gina. If I hadn't done what I done, old Cove might still be alive. Did you tell the police everything you just told us? Of course I did. They didn't believe a word of it, did they? All they said was, I kept telling lies, make things even worse for me. It'll be alright, Guinea, don't worry. Just stay strong a little longer. Bruno's about to put the real culprit through the mill. cove? What was there in the afternoon? That Agate Benedict. I still remember how he looked at me, like I was nothing. He was there that night. We don't know his real name yet, but I'm convinced that he's involved somehow. Anyway, thank you for telling us what happened, Gina. I appreciate your honesty. You what? You can leave it all in Bruno's capable hands now, Guinea. Oh, Mr. Naruto? Yes? How come you trust me? I don't get it. I mean, have you forgotten what happened here before? Come on, it was only 2 months ago. Me and McGilded? We told you a whole pack of lies. Ain't you got the bog trotter off with him? Even though he was the killer? No, I could never forget that. Oh, I did what I thought was best at the time. The pain, that error of judgment, doesn't get any easier to bear. Still, don't forget that I also made you a promise. I told you that I'd be on your side to the bitter end, no matter what. Oh, what if I'm lying? You could be working to get another killer off the hook for all you know. I was once in your position, Gina. I was the accused in a trial. And then I was accused of murder again, but that wasn't a trial. That was a lynch mob. Just know that I understand, okay? You were. Before I left Japan, I was accused of murder. And strange as it might sound, the circumstances of the crime were pretty damning. I was sure that no one would believe it wasn't me who'd done it. Oh, Bruno. But there was one person who stood up for me, who believed in me, and was prepared to defend me. My best friend. He's now a sword, by the way. Ryunosuke, no one believes in you more than I do. Leave this to me. All you need to do is put your faith in me, and I'll do the rest. I'm so happy I cried. But even then, somewhere inside me, I couldn't help thinking, surely he doesn't really believe in me. Not completely. But I was wrong. As soon as my trial began, it was obvious that he had an absolute, unwavering belief in me. And in turn, I developed an absolute, unwavering belief in him. Since then, I came to realize, if you want someone to believe in you, you have to believe in the other person first. That would be the perfect segue for the Steel Samurai. Oh man, the Steel Samurai. That's a great track right there. What are you saying? I promise you, Gina, that no matter what happens, I'll keep believing in you. So you don't need to worry. I won't let you down. Even though I'm a diver and a no-good liar, you're not like McGilded. I know that. Eh? That's right. We're our friend, Guinea. Iris. We know you're better than... We know you better than you think. And we've come to the conclusion you're someone we can trust. Yes. That's really all we need to know. Exactly! Mr. Naruoto, I... Defendant Gina Lestrade and her legal representative. Court proceedings are about to resume. Please head into the courtroom immediately. Yes, of course. Thank you for ruining this tender moment. I've been both a defendant and a defending lawyer in my time, so I knew only too well just how hard it was to put all your faith in another. And I also knew just how hard it was to bear the burden of another putting all their faith in you. This is it at last. The final chapter. The final battle. It's the final countdown. Do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do. Wish me luck, Susato-san. And I hope you're watching over me too, partner. Look, if the bailiff can ruin the moment, I can ruin the moment as well, alright? Alright, Old Bailey Courtroom, 1:41 p.m. Have you found out this guy's real name, by the way? Oh. I hereby call this court to order as we resume the trial of Miss Gina Lestrade. Lord Van Zieks, have you successfully subpoenaed the witness? The subpoena was delivered to the communication station, where the man works immediately, my lord. However, the heavy rain has delayed the arrival of his carriage, would seem. I see. And let us turn our attention to Inspector Gregson's precis of the case, heard by the court this morning. A glaring omission of the third bullet in your report is a serious blunder, Inspector. Yes, I can only apologize, my lord. And although the defense's chemical analysis of the blood at the scene makes for a compelling argument, I cannot permit such untried methods to be used as evidence in my courtroom. It's a big mistake to cross Hurley and me. A very big mistake. My lord, a subpoenaed witness has just arrived in the building. Oh, thank you, officer. Show him to the stand without delay. Mr. Eggert Benedict. Benedict Cumberbatch. Benedict Cumberbund. Mr. Bacon and Eggs. Bacon, eggs, spam, sausage, and spam. Spam, spam, eggs, and spam. Spam, 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 spam. I didn't expect to be crossing paths with him again so soon. Certainly not like this. Oh. Thank you for complying with the court's subpoena at such short notice, sir. But of course, my lord, as an upstanding member of London society, it is my pleasure to oblige. Now, kindly state your name and occupation for the record. Ashley Graydon, Communications Officer. I wonder if that's a Sherlock reference somewhere. Mr. Graydon and I both work at London's Central Communication Station. Now, perhaps somebody would kindly explain what all this is about? You okay there? I'm okay. Yeah? Is something wrong? Is something wrong? Is something going on? What's going on? I'm confused. Is there something wrong with me? Something going on? You were apprised of the situation by the court officer on your way here, I presume. Yes, I was. Something to do with a murder that took place at a pawnbroker's on Baker Street. And some nonsense about me having been there on the night in question. That is the accusation indeed. This really is beyond a joke, you know. Very well. Ah. Monty Python. Don't you know about the spam skit? Without further delay, the court will hear your testimony now, Mr. Graydon. You will respond to the accusation made against you under oath. Look how fabulous I am. Gladly, my lord. Gladly. Man, I'm looking forward to this guy's breakdown. Naturally, I have occasion to make use of pawnbroking services from time to time. But are you seriously suggesting I colluded with these thugs to break into the place on the night of the murder? I have no intention of admitting to such an outrageous accusation, even if certain parties here present a claim that my blood was found at the scene. Some Scaramouche detective's homebrewed tincture can hardly be taken as serious evidence. Ah, fair enough. To be fair, those are the good ones. The spam skit was from the TV show. And it does get mentioned elsewhere, like you'll find it referenced a fair bit in other media. Of all things, it shows up in the Girls und Panzer OVA. It is not just a some sort of liberty added in via translation. It is a direct reference down to the Vikings. So, you deny the accusation completely, do you? I must say I am dismayed. For the highest court in the land be swayed by this self-professed detective's toy. I mean, you did brandish a gun in the pawn in the shop earlier. It was the will of the jury, and our great British justice system demands that the jury's will is upheld. Then it would seem we have the misfortune of a most inept assembly of jurors today. By golly! How long am I expected to be detained here? If, following the defense's cross-examination, your involvement in this matter has not been established, you will be free to leave immediately. Good. Then I shall be away in time for afternoon tea. Some small consolation at least. Let us not hold up Mr. Graydon any longer than necessary, Counsel. Proceed with the cross-examination. Oh. So, we meet again, Mr. Eggert Benedict. Or is it Mr. Graydon? My apologies. You are Ryunosuke Naruhodo, defense lawyer. We have met. If you say so. Ashley Graydon. Enchanté. So. I trust we can conclude this quickly. I'm not holding a flashy hat while we do. Apparently I am. Alright. So his name has been corrected, I assume. We'll press him here first. Yes, we even met in the very pawnbrokery where the crime took place on the afternoon of the day in question. Yep, Ashley Graydon, 27, operator at the Central Communications Station who's been subpoenaed. He was caught on a photograph taken by the red-handed recorders in the pawnbrokery. Though, of course, you introduced yourself by a different name at the time. It was Mr. Eggert Benedict, I believe.
Objection.
Tell me, what made you... The witness is here to testify about events that took place that night. I mean, I believe this is relevant. He is under no obligation to answer such unrelated questions. You can't be serious. Thank you, because I certainly do not feel inclined to answer such an inappropriate question. He's going to be evasive, is he? An effort not to give away anything. This could be tricky. That is what I am suggesting. Have you seen these two men before? This pair? No, I don't associate with criminals. Said by a man who introduced himself as Eggs Benedict with Spam. I'd like to know who I have to thank for this. Who made this outlandish accusation against me? The young lawyer there in the black. This is a farce. Whose idea was it to permit an outsider to work in a British court anyway? Racism! Well, needless to say... Dio! Leonardo DiCaprio. Where were you at around 1 in the morning on the night in question, sir? That is past the hour at which I would normally retire. That's a long way to say that you were asleep. Certainly. This twat is about to use the wordo. I was not in the company of these rapscallions. You're able to prove that?
Objection!
Listen carefully, my learned Nipponese friend, for you appear to be under a gross misapprehension on this point. What do you mean? The witness maintains he was not at the scene of the crime. he has no obligation to prove his absence. If your accusation is that the witness was present at the scene, the obligation lies with you to prove your assertion. You will fulfill that obligation before putting any more unreasonable requests to the witness. I'm fabulous. Silent victory wiggle. Thanks.
Hold it!
Blood was found at the scene of the crime, there's no question of that. Mr. Sholmes' chemical analysis has positively identified the substance as such. But I am not the only human to have blood running through my veins, am I? How can you be so sure that the blood is mine? It could equally be the blood of one of these two miscreants. Every individual's blood has a slightly different composition, it seems. Mr. Sholmes' chemical is able to differentiate different blood samples by spare me the science lesson. Who is this Sholmes character, anyway? Oh, I assume all Londoners would know the name. He's a renowned detective. So, even you are unable to bring yourself to say, great detective. A great detective, you say? Now, we're in the realm of fairy tales, are we? Oh, you've got something to say, huh? Alright, well, hold off on that for now. The Counsel for the Defense thinks a British courtroom is an appropriate place for fairy tales, does he? This is so unfair. That chemical test is based on solid science. Hurley and I know what we're doing. Trouble is, unless the technique can be independently verified, we'll never get beyond this man's flashy stick waving, which is scientifically verified. Granted, it is a very colourful alchemy. Perhaps it would make a good souvenir for your uneducated friends back home in the East. Something riled him there. Just for a moment, Mr. Graydon let his feathers get ruffled. But souvenir is all it's good for. Okay. Can hardly be taken as serious evidence. Alright, so it's the second last one that we'll have to press on again.
Hold it!
Don't forget, sir, that Mr. Herlock Sholmes is the most famous detective in the world. And the most famous detective in the world tells the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Oh no. Can't think how to answer that. I once saw the world's most famous swindler thrown into jail. He allegedly told the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but what turned out to be a pack of lies. Quite. Now, as you are no doubt aware, the Central Communication Station is the heart of the country's information network. My work there is of paramount importance, and you have kept me from it for long enough already. That's all he's going to say on the matter, is it? What do you think, Bruno? I think he has no intention of telling us anything. He's well aware that the less he says, the less chance he has of giving himself away. The complete opposite of Hurley, then. He seems to think that the more he says, the better. To find a way of getting more information out of this man somehow. But compared to the bungling burglars beside him, he seems as innocent as a child. Or perhaps the Skulker brothers might be the key here? Oh, could they be somehow? Remember, if you don't prove this witness has some connection to the incident here, he'll be free to leave. I know. Can't let that happen. Let's listen to those statements again and see if there's any way I can make one of them tell us more. Alright, so I'll go to this one here.
Hold it!
And I'm going to go quickly grab myself a drink before we continue, alright? I'll be back in a moment. Alright, I have returned. I decided to grab myself a splash of whiskey as well. Okay, give me a second. Thanks for the welcome back. Okay. Oh, right. What have you got to say, brother?
Excuse me.
Do you have something to say about that, Mr. Skulkin? Eh, what? Me? No, the other one. The Mr. Skulkin next to you. Oh, right. I've had it up to ear with this. How many times have I got to tell you? Yes, I know you're not Big Bruv Sulky. Mr. Nash Skulkin. Oh, blimey, Governor, you what? Is it not the case that when Mr. Graydon just spoke, a thought went through your mind? Would you care to share that thought with the court? Yeah? Or me thoughts? I don't have none of them. Oh, it must have been him. Oh, you what? Mr. Nash Skulkin, answer the question, please. What went through your mind when Mr. Graydon just spoke? Oh, nothing. Honest, Gov, nothing. I was just thinking, if he waves his arm around like that much more, he'll open up the wound again, that's all. What wound? Oh, where he took the bullet, of course. I was only 2 days ago. It ain't gonna be healed up yet. So I was, well, you know, I was worrying for him and, oh, L's bells. Mr. Graydon, Did you hear that? What? Your comrade is worried about you, it seems. Turns out he does know you, and he knows that you were shot 2 days ago. It was at that moment that he knew he fucked up. On account of your injured arm. My lord? Yes, Mr. Graydon. I have no idea what these two wretches are talking about. Certainly, I shouldn't be expected to answer anything in relation to their mindless insinuations. We know that someone other than the victim was hit by a bullet at the scene of the crime 2 nights ago. Yep, off that coat! Strip him bare! And from the height of the bullet hole in the wall, that person was likely hit in the upper arm or thereabouts. Perhaps you'd allow a court official to examine your arm, sir. The left arm that you're currently clasping with your right hand as if you're in pain. No, I refuse. You have shown no evidence whatsoever that links me to these common thieves. Accordingly, I am not obliged to permit any such invasion of my privacy. As I've already said, I'm completely uninvolved in all of this. I've never had anything to do with the pawnbrokery where this fellow was killed whatsoever. Now that's a lie that we can prove with hard evidence. I take offense at the insinuation that I was in any way involved. You claim to have had nothing whatsoever to do with Mr. Windybank's pawnbrokery? My lord, the defense would like that last statement to be added to Mr. Graydon's formal testimony. Very well, counsel. Continue with your testimony, Mr. Graydon. Bottom line is, I've never had anything to do with the pawnbroking establishment where the man was killed. Where's that photo? Or do we present... Not that one. Not that one. That one, wasn't it? Or do we have to, interrogate him? Never had anything to do with it. You forget that I was there, Mr. Graydon, on the very afternoon of that incident. Obviously, I am not a complete stranger to the pawnbrokers. I'm currently on the lookout for an armchair to furnish my study.
Objection.
No, you were there to redeem an article. I have no...
Is that right?
Because you were there as well. I have no idea what you're talking about. Sorry? You must be confusing me with somebody else. I wasn't there for any such purpose. But the redemption ticket! That won't get you anywhere, Bruno. Iris? What do you mean? Mr. Windybank never wrote the names of his customers on his redemption tickets, so can't prove the ticket was his. Ah, of course, she's right. I'm afraid you're going to need to produce some irrefutable evidence here. Otherwise, they'll never admit to being there. Irrefutable evidence. That's, yeah, so. Hold on, you're saying something different here. At least I managed to prise a little more information from these witnesses' lips, all thanks to the Skulkin brothers. Yes, they were the key to it all. So he says he has nothing to do with Windybanks. Well, we know that's not true. Perhaps now would be a good time to have a proper look through the court record. Good idea. You never know what tiny scrap of information could become a valuable weapon. Alright, well, first, we'll,
Hold it!
go over here.
Objection! Is that right? Excuse me!
Do you have something to add, Inspector? Yeah? Come again, Sunshine? You were there too, in fact, weren't you, Inspector? That afternoon. Well, yes, I do remember meeting yourself and the pawnbrokers that afternoon. You, your young Japanese assistant, and the accused were all present, as I recall. And at that time, this witness, Mr. Graydon, was trying to acquire a particular article. Well now. I'm afraid I don't remember too clearly. What? But you must. I'm not going to lie and pretend I remember something I don't. What's going on here? Gregsy showed us a picture before, didn't he? You know, the cameras that Hurley installed in Windybanks? Yes, of course. Indeed. And the gentleman pictured bears a striking resemblance to the witness, I must say. Exactly! Which proves that Mr. Graydon was in the shop on the afternoon in question. At no point have I denied that fact. I merely entered the shop to peruse the articles on sale and have a word with the broker. Nothing more. This makes no sense. I understand why Mr. Graydon might be trying to cover his tracks. But why would Gregson be trying to avoid giving testimony about what happened? Alright, give us a second. Never had anything to do. Which one? Yeah, so we've got that there. Do we present the music box disc? Because we know that he was there for that, right? And we're claiming that it's got his blood on it. Let me just have a look through again. Like, they said that the pawnbroker's ticket isn't going to work. And they're not accepting the blood reports. Yeah, that was Mr. Mason's blood there. The Gilded Case. Yep, okay. Yeah, coroner's report, instant death. She's wearing the jacket there. It's probably the disc then. Let me save the game there.
Objection.
Have you ever seen this disc before, Mr. Graydon? Why? Is it supposed to mean something? This disc was, until the day of his murder, in pawn in Mr. Windybank's shop. It was redeemed by the defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade, that afternoon. However, somebody mysteriously appeared to try to take it from her. And that somebody was you, of course. Wasn't it, Mr. Graydon? As I have reiterated numerous times now, you are mistaken. That was not me. I've never seen that disc before in my life. It may have escaped your notice, but there is a small smear of blood on the disc. Ah, yes, resulting from an abrasion of the thumb, perhaps? That's right. The surface of the disc is covered in hundreds of tiny metal bumps. In the skirmish to acquire the disc, the thumb of the person who tried to take it suffered minor lacerations. Let me have a look at your thumb. So, while the disc bears the remnants of that skirmish in the form of this smear of blood, the thumb of the person in question must bear the remnants also, in the form of a scratch. Good gracious, indeed it must. Mr. Graydon, you refused to allow a court officer to examine your arm before. Are you now going to refuse to allow us to examine your thumb? Because I have no doubt that it bears a small scratch consistent with the smear of blood on this disc. Well, well. It would seem I underestimated you. What is the meaning of this? So you admit it now? You admit you have a scratch on your thumb from when you attempted to take the disc from the defendant. Order! Order! Well, Mr. Graydon? It would appear there has been something of a misunderstanding here. I did not attempt to take the disc, as you put it. No, quite the reverse. What are you trying to say? It's really quite simple, you see. The disc was mine from the outset. Is there some crime in taking an item that you own out of pawn? Didn't you say you'd never seen that disc before? You said that it wasn't you. You said that it wasn't you. Lying under oath. What? It would seem, Mr. Graydon, that in this piece of evidence, my learned friend has established a link between yourself and the incident. Accordingly, you will tell the court everything you know about this disc now. As you wish. Oh, I'm quite sure it has nothing whatsoever to do with the pawnbroker's murder. The disc! There's a note on the disc saying, "For McGilded," but the item belongs to me. The redemption ticket was stolen from me by the accused, the filthy gutterling, on the day in question. I proceeded at once to the shop in order to explain my situation and redeem my article. In the end, of course, the disc was taken by the police. In other words, I had absolutely no reason to break into the shop later that same night. Did I hear you correctly, sir? McGilded, you say? A famous London philanthropist? Who perished in this very courtroom 2 months ago after being acquitted of a distinctly messy murder? Yes, my lord, the one and the same. Good lord, Mr. Graydon, are you saying that Mr. McGilded and yourself were acquainted? Yes, that's correct. Order? Well, I certainly didn't expect to hear that name uttered here in my court again. According to what Gina told us, this disc was placed in pawn on that fateful night 2 months ago. McGilded himself gave instructions to deposit it at Windybanks. It's funny that Mr. Graydon here is claiming the disc belongs to him then, isn't it? In all likelihood, he's lying. So he appeared that afternoon at Windybanks in order to get his hands on McGilded's disc for some reason. Counsel, you will commence your cross-examination, please. Alrighty then. We shall do so.
Hold it!
And why is the note there, man? Would you care to explain how this belongs to you? As you will observe, a communications officer such as myself commands a fine salary. If this disc is indeed yours, could you happen to tell us what sort of music box it goes with? I'd love to hear the answer to that, buddy. You are certainly exquisitely dressed, sir. Oh. So, you see, I have little need to make use of the services provided by the pawnbrokery trade. However, I did once find myself in difficulties, having misplaced my purse whilst on an errand, which is why I pawned my fine black overcoat to the broker in question. You claim that was your overcoat, the one that doesn't fit you at all. Obviously. And in my haste, I clean forgot that the music box disc was in its pocket. And yet, there is a note on it that reads, "For McGilded." I am a collector of rare and unusual music box music. I first met Mr. McGilded at a gentleman's club in the city and was interested to discover that he shared my penchant in that area. So, the disc in question, it's a pre-production sample. I promised to let Mr. McGilded hear it. Yep, even the prosecution is sus. But then, you forgot that it was in the pocket of the overcoat you were forced to pawn. Yes, exactly. Gina didn't mention any of that in her testimony 2 months ago, did she? No. because McGilded had threatened her to keep her mouth shut. Which means that if we dig too deeply here, it's going to expose Gina's perjury. Oh dear. This is complicated, isn't it? Let's leave it alone for the time being. Okay.
Hold it!
So, you're saying that Miss Lestrade lifted the ticket from your pocket or bag? That's right. Despite being mindful of danger and walking in the insalubrious areas her kind frequent,
Protection!
Miss Lestrade did no such thing. Well, of course you would take that stance, but the girl is a regular offender. You came to the pawnbrokery that day prepared with all the information you needed to identify the defendant. You were looking for her. That's what brought you to Windybanks. To get your hands on Mr. McGilded's disc.
Objection!
My learned friend is a veritable font of nonsense. Nonsense! I concur with the prosecution. Oh. Counsel, you will refrain from conjecturing in this way. Is that clear? Yes, my lord. Then I will continue with my testimony, for what possible use it can be. Okay.
Hold it!
Had you ever been to Windybanks before? Only once, for the purposes of pawning something, but like many, I enjoy browsing in such establishments. So, then you notice that the pickpocket had taken your ticket. You chased after her. Is that correct? Yes, that's right. I didn't notice at first, of course. Such is the art of the pick-purse. But when I did, I headed the pawnbrokery at once, in order to reclaim my coat before the thief could. I was merely trying to recover what was rightfully mine in the first place. And say what he likes, he knows we have no evidence to contradict him on this. Okay, taken by the police.
Hold it!
Yes, it was taken by Inspector Gregson here, wasn't it? That's right. This was the very man. Apparently, the police are collecting
Is that
anything
right?
that has a connection to Mr. McGilded as evidence. Alright, so we'll question you there later. That's what the inspector said, at least, as he seized my disc. And thanks to the skirmish with that wastrel, I snagged the end of my thumb at the same time. And the disc in question is this disc here? Yes, it is. Scotland Yard have indeed been gathering items believed to have been the property of Mr. McGilded, presumably to aid their investigations in some way. Not something I would be aware of. I really didn't know the man well, anyway. After all, I'm merely a communications officer with a penchant for music boxes. And flamboyant poses. I bet you're popular at the disco.
Hold it!
But perhaps you'd seen something of value among the forfeited items. No, not at all. Oh. A valuer was brought in by the police to assess everything in the shop. Without exception, every article on the shelves was common or garden bric-a-brac. In that case, it's clear that you broke into the shop later that day in order to recover Mr. McGilded's disc. Wasn't in the possession of the police, you can't say that. Have you not been listening, man? Even if I had wanted to recover the disc, you may recall that it had been seized by the police that afternoon. It was no more in the shop that night than I. As I keep saying, I simply had no reason to break in. But there was the box. The box! There was nothing of McGilded's left in the shop that night. Nothing this man might have been after. I wonder if that's really true. Bruno, if you have some evidence, and let him have it. I'm dying to see that irritatingly assured expression of his crumble. Gilded slipped the disc into his coat pocket and had it deposited at Windybanks. Then, when he realized he was going to be arrested on suspicion of the omnibus murder, he threatened Gina and forced her to take the redemption ticket. There's no doubt about it, that witness is lying through his pearly white teeth. Police were obviously after anything left behind by McGilded as well. That's why Inspector Gregson ended up taking the disc into custody that day. But Rexy's being very strange about all this. Must be a reason for that, I'm sure. Just don't know what it is. But now, I need to be exposing the fact that Mr. Grayson is lying in his testimony. Alright. It was, this one, right?
Hold it! Is that right?
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Is something wrong, Inspector?
What do you mean?
The last remark Mr. Graydon made in his testimony seemed to trouble you in some way.
No, it didn't. It's, nothing. Leave it alone.
Let me ask you this, Inspector. Why is Scotland Yard gathering Mr. McGilded's possessions?
I can't tell you something like that, Sunshine.
What is it, Inspector? Investigative secrets?
Yes, exactly. You should know all about that.
Magnus McGilded, who died so unexpectedly after his trial 2 months ago. A man renowned throughout the capital for his great contributions to public life. Yet, he had a dark side too, and I would be one to know about dark sides.
Where are you going with this, Van Zeeks?
I suppose the police are dealing with the aftermath of his nefarious activities, are they?
That's enough. Hoppers like me have duties to carry out that we're not at liberty to talk about. That's all you need to know.
Duties conferred by Lord Strongheart, I presume. The Lord Chief Justice appears to have great faith in you, Inspector.
Bottom line is, you want to get more out of me? But I need Lord Strongheart's paw print first.
What's all this about? It's like there's something going on between Gregson and Lord Van Zeeks here.
Well, it would appear that the Inspector has revealed all he is at liberty to reveal. Mr. Graydon, let us return to your testimony.
Gladly, my lord. Okay. Hold on. Let me just save here real quick. Now, we probably have to present something here. And...
I've got the overcoat over there with I've got the overcoat thing with blood on it. That's automatically going to be sus. I've got the small box. That was at 9 p.m. This was at 10:30. Do we want to present this one here? I wonder. Okay, let's we'll try that. It might be a little bit soon for this one, but we'll see how it goes. This disc was deposited at Windybanks on Magnus McGilded's instructions. You knew that, and you went there with the intention of obtaining it yourself.
Objection!
Conjecture again, and in any case, the disc was taken into custody by the police that afternoon. The witness had no reason to visit the pawnbrokery again that night.
Objection!
Sorry, my learned friend, but that's not true. What? Mr. McGilded had another article in pawn at Windybanks, as this second pawnbroker's ticket proves. There were two articles belonging to Mr. McGilded and Windybanks Pawnbrokery, and the reason you broke into the shop that night was to recover the second one. Together with your two accomplices, the Skulkin brothers. This is the second ticket, is it? What had that man deposited? The article description reads, one small box. A rather vague description, it seems to me. Are you suggesting that I broke into the pawnbrokery with these clowns in order to steal some trinket box? I believe that there are adequate grounds to suspect that you did. This is absurd. Why on earth would I do such a thing? Once the article had been forfeited, I could simply walk into the shop and purchase it. There would be absolutely no need for me to resort to theft. That's a good point. Indeed. The witness makes a solid argument. So that means that for some reason, this Graydon fellow needed the small box that very night, does it?
Objection!
It's time to put an end to this nonsense, my lord. Could you be a little less cryptic, Lord Van Zeeks? I do hate to ruin my learned friend's argument, but the truth is quite incontrovertible. On the night in question, no small box was taken from Windybanks Pawnbrokery. And rest assured, the prosecution can prove it. What? Good gracious! Inspector, show the photographic prints to the court, if you please. Yes, sir. What prints? What about Discovery, man? These prints were taken from one of the detective's security cameras. Ah, Pony's red-handed recorders again. As previously explained, using this plan of the shop layout, the victim's establishment was furnished with automatic cameras in 2 locations. One was set to capture the counter where Mr. Windybank received his customers, and the other was set to capture the shelves on which articles were placed for sale once forfeited. According to the information on this ticket, the gilded small box had been forfeited already. 2 days before the incident at 9 p.m. on the 13th of April to be precise. Which means it would have been on the shelves of forfeited items in the shop front. Now, what I have here is a print taken by one of the cameras about 2 hours before the incident. That's at 11 p.m. on 15th of April. Victim certainly had a very full shop, it would appear. And then here we have another print. This one was taken about 2 hours after the incident. I see. So, we have 2 pictures to compare. Stereoscopes, aren't they a marvelous invention? Way better than the telegraph, way better than radio waves. Stereoscopes are the future. Oh, I must say that placing them side by side leaves me cold. Now, are we able to see anything out of place here? Let's have a look. I'm not quite seeing anything. Let's stare a little bit longer, shall we? Got those up there. That's up top. Sign there. If there is something, I'm not spotting it this time. Ah, actually I have. I just spotted it then. On the 3rd shelf on the right, there is a box and it has been moved slightly. I can see on one, it is on the left. It's next to the stereoscope, the big one. And on the second one, it's moved to the right. There we go. Oh, dear me. That's starting to make my head ache. Obviously, at Scotland Yard, we considered theft as one possible motive in this case. Explored the possibility that something had been taken in addition to the victim's life. So, your men have already compared these 2 prints thoroughly, Inspector? Oh, yes, sir. We counted every single item in each of these 2 photographic prints. And the Yard's conclusion is that exactly the same number are present in both. You're not wrong. Do remember that it is a box, however. Therefore, and what do you use boxes for? You use them for putting things in. So whatever was inside the box might not be there anymore. In other words, nothing was taken from the pawnbrokery on the night in question. And my learned friend's assertion is nothing more than a hopeful fantasy. Ah! I don't believe it. I could have just shown that he'd stolen McGilded's pawned box. I might have been able to break him down at last. You know what, Bruno? I've been thinking. I wonder if these two photographs really are exactly the same. What? So, counsel, in the light of the evidence put forward by the prosecution, what is your position? It seems that, in fact, on the night in question, nothing was stolen from the victim's establishment. Do you accept the prosecution's assertion? I don't know. Could there be some hidden discrepancy in these two photographic prints somewhere? Point out a discrepancy. Wasn't sure at first, but there is a clear discrepancy between these two prints. What? You must identify the location in question for the court, counsel. Indicate the precise location of the discrepancy of which you speak. Over here.
Take that!
Granted, these two prints are almost identical. However, there is one minor discrepancy between them. What? When you view the two pictures stereoscopically, a single area stands out as being different. The location of this small box. Lit. Wait. Unbelievable. By Jove, you're right. How extraordinary. What this tells us is very simple. Mr. McGilded's small box was indeed not stolen from Windybanks on the night in question. However, there can be no doubt that somebody picked up this particular box and then returned it to its place on the shelves. Are you suggesting that the small box originally deposited by Mr. McGilded is, in fact, yes, the very same small box I just identified in those photographic prints?
Objection!
Mindless guesswork. What if it was? So a box was moved on the shelf. Nothing was stolen. Which means quite simply that nothing has changed. That may be true, but alright. McGilded's box wasn't stolen then. But doesn't the fact that it was moved like that change things? Changes everything. I believe this changes everything about the case. How can that possibly be? The crucial point is the fact that what was moved was a small box. In other words, we have to consider what might have been inside that box. What are you suggesting? I'm suggesting that we need to examine that box as soon as possible. A vital piece of evidence is sitting on the shelves at Windybanks as we speak.
Objection!
That won't be necessary. Some little box belonging to a man who died 2 months ago can't possibly be relevant to this trial. The court does not uphold your objection, Lord Van Zeeks. Oh. Bailiff, arrange for an officer to go to Baker Street at once. Obtain the small box in question and bring it back here for further examination.
I wonder if the box has a blood stain on it. From a possibly still bleeding thumb, or from when he got shot. We should have a report within half an hour. I think perhaps we should recess for a short while until the evidence is brought forth. To be hoodwinked by such a farce. Disappointing. I beg your pardon, Lord Van Zeeks. Do you wish to be added to my naughty list? This is nothing but a smokescreen. A Nipponese specialty, if it would seem. What are you trying to say? My learned friend has persisted with the same line of reasoning from the very beginning. That this witness's intent was to steal an article belonging to Mr. McGilded from the pawnbrokery. Yet common sense tells us that none of the articles have value enough to be worth stealing in the first place. Exactly. It would be beyond absurd to break into a place for the purpose of stealing such commonplace property. If your lordship recalls, Mr. McGilded perished 2 months ago, immediately after the conclusion of his trial. A trial in which he was found not guilty. A trial in which it was established he was the upstanding member of society his reputation implied, in fact. So, I propose a toast to my learned friend and his most insightful defense. The articles this upstanding member of society pawned were entirely ordinary. A black overcoat that just happened to have a music box disc in one of its pockets, and a small box. I assure you, I wouldn't accept even if the man tried to make a gift of such things to me. I mean, aren't you a music box aficionado? No, that does make rather a lot of sense. It's not as if it was gold or jewels, is it? Oh, thank goodness knows McGilded was rich enough. But you can't deposit cash at a pawnbrokery. The prosecution's argument is undeniably compelling. It is incumbent on the defense now to bolster its argument. To explain what possible significance these commonplace articles pawned by this fine citizen would have. Well, counsel, is your argument in fact demonstrable? Well, see, over here, it looks to me like he's trying to force us to admit that McGilded is not an upstanding individual, because he had it out for McGilded in the first place. Because apparently McGilded is involved in some very shady stuff. Probably treasonous stuff. Are you able to show proof that the disc or the box are in any tangible way related to this case? What's the matter, Bruno? Oh, we know that they're related, don't we? They're both vital pieces of evidence. Yes, of course. You and I both know that. We know McGilded's true character. And we know the disc is significant, even if we don't know why. If we explain all that to the court at this point, have to acknowledge that McGilded's acquittal 2 months ago was a mistake. That the defense's argument was flawed, based on false information. Oh no! And that would mean
admitting that Gina committed perjury. But Guinea! Could it be that Van Zieks knows? Is that why he's doing this now? Has he anticipated everything? But maybe... this could be a great opportunity for us. Sorry? What do you mean, Iris? Well, what is it that you always say, Bruno? Sooner or later, the truth comes out. Every time. Alright. The exact significance of the things that McGilda deposited with Mr. Windybank is something that only Gina can explain to the court. But if I put her on the stand to testify about that, it could critically damage our chances of winning this case. I mean, we're here to defend her against murder. She's innocent of that. If so doing, means that she has to admit to other crimes, then I guess she's got to do that, right? What's the right thing to do here? Have Gina testify. My lord, the defense would like to make a proposal. Oh? What proposal, counsel? While the court awaits the arrival of Mr. McGilden's small box, I would like to call the defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade, the witness stand. Admittedly, I should have probably asked her first. The defendant? To what end? It's to do with the various articles deposited at Windybanks by Mr. McGilden, my lord. Miss Lestrade has information relating to them. I believe it would be beneficial for the court to hear what she has to say. It will prove the significance of the articles in question once and for all. Well, things are becoming interesting. I presume you've considered the implications of the testimony you're proposing. In particular, the impact it will have on the accused's standing, and indeed your own. I have. Lord Van Zieks, would you care to explain that last remark? The prosecution accepts the defense's proposal. I move to interrupt the cross-examination of the current witness and hear from the accused herself. Oh, very well. If you have no objection. So, the court will now hear the testimony of the defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade. Your witnesses, currently in the stand, may step down until further notice. Then I shall bid you good day. Wait. You, sir, shall remain in the stand while Miss Lestrade testifies. As you wish. All right then, Gina. It's time. I know this will be hard, but please, put your faith in me here. Good luck, Bruno. All right. With that, I think it is time to put a pause to the game here for the night. It's almost 1 p.m. my time, as you can see. And I've gone for about 3 hours, which is about how long we normally go with this game. So I think that's a good point to stop for the moment, don't you? But don't worry, we will be continuing this on Thursday. So I hope to see you there for that. Now, tomorrow, we are going to be playing some more Library of Ruina. So I hope to be able to see people there for that. This will be at 1 p.m. my time. And we will be doing the same on Wednesday. Okay? Now, Friday will be a day off, as per usual, but I'm also getting vaccinated that day. So there's no real way for me to... So I'm not going to be streaming on Wednesday, unfortunately. So that means no Resident Evil.
No Mass Effect, sorry. So just it'll be some time off for myself, okay? Hopefully I'll be able to stream as per normal, but we'll also sort of have to find out what work says as well. So it's possible that my schedule might be a bit delayed, okay? Now, we're going to go raid Chibi right now, who is playing some Minecraft. And yeah, have to give her some head pats, I think. Yeah, exactly. So, thank you very much, and I hope to see you all next time, okay? See ya!